Right. Just thought I'd make a very quick video just to document. I've just come back on the bus from Eastbourne, and on the Downs, I mean it's just gone midnight, but coming back here on the Downs, there's a car that's turned over. There's a car, it's upside down, and there are people in it. I didn't realise there were people in the car, and the bus driver stopped to ask, "Are you all right?" to the young people, and they said, "Yes, we're calling for backup." But I didn't realise there were people inside the car, and it's on its back. My partner said to me, though, there's something about this time of year in the UK that makes people go mad. People just drive crazy. But anyway, so just a couple of things really. There's a member of the council here, Labour Party, who's put their thing through the door. I won't say who it is, but local to this town, because I can't give away. Obviously, I've got to think of my safety. I can't give away what town I'm in while I'm documenting all of this stuff. But I grew up in this town. A lot of memories. Some of them supernatural. Some of them from the dark realm. Demonic, yeah. Some of them happy, some of them painful. It was in this town that I grew up. It was in this town that, not just Seaford, it was in this town that I had a dream that a baby, what I now realise was a satanic ritual involving a newborn baby in a hospital. And as a little girl, I didn't know what that nightmare was, but now I do. Which reminds me, I haven't seen the rest of the SRA conference, the Satanic Ritual Abuse conference involving Jeanette Archer and other people. I haven't watched the rest of it. It was 7 hours long. I think because it's spiritually draining. And of course, Dr. William Snowblum would know all about that. Abby Yahweh, bless him. Anyway, yeah, I've got an appointment tomorrow with a charity. One of the speakers at the conference that I went to, for anyone who doesn't know, watching me, I went to a conference at Ashburnham Place, and one of the speakers was a friend of my late mother's. A friend of my late mother's from a small village, and he met the mother of the Hampstead satanic ritual abuse case in Hampstead in London, in North London, and I've met a victim of satanic ritual abuse. Well, two. But he's an ex-Sussex police whistleblower. The irony that Sussex police have tortured me over the last 7 years, but I know the real reason why I couldn't get the words out, and that's part of the programming that I am trying to break. My partner and I were talking about generational curses earlier, but this charity, I mean, he was saying, Ray Savage, this speaker I'm speaking about, was talking about how we know that these charities are not fit for purpose, these public services. So this particular charity, they're raising money at the moment. It's quite new. My partner and I actually went a few years ago. We went to was it last year? Oh, it might have been last year. Time flies. We went to a fete where I first heard about this women's charity. It's the Queen's Award for Voluntary Service, and there's a symbol of the crown, so I wouldn't hold my breath. But I've got an appointment with them again tomorrow. The first time I spoke to them in my appointment, they did a survey with them, so they're going to ask for my feedback anyway. But as my partner Darren and I were saying earlier, things are coming to a head. Let's just put it that way. And those who want Yahweh and his, that those who seek him and those who have sought to bring down others, basically those who don't care, they will reap what they sow. They will. So anyway, I got that appointment tomorrow, but one of the main reasons why I wanted to make this video was because, excuse me, it's basically I watched a Paul Joseph Watson video about a disabled autistic girl who was assaulted, arrested, injured by West Yorkshire Police, and West Yorkshire Police apparently have the worst crime rate in the UK. And yet, they went into the home of this autistic girl, and just because she said something about, she made a comment that one of the female police officers had a boyish haircut, and apparently she said to her, "You look like a lesbian," and she was making an observation based on the fact that her grandmother is a quote-unquote lesbian, apparently in a civil partnership with another woman, according to the mother. Well, I won't go there, but the point that I'm making here, and the point that Paul Joseph Watson is making here, is that this poor girl was subjected to terror, harassment, all in her own home. She started punching herself in the head due to the distress caused by these thugs, which they like to do. And they're just demented, infantile, psychopath, everything. I mean, crumbs, it just puts the whole school bullying thing into perspective, doesn't it? Because, I've got that front page headline of me in the local paper, not the Brave Bryony Battles on one, the other one from 2004, a front page headline saying that I was bullied so much at Seaford Head, my school, that I was suicidal. But this... And speaking of which, I went to one of the hotels in Eastbourne to go and visit my partner earlier, and I actually walked past the manager of Poundland, waved hello, and he was pushing his, I assume, 3-year-old daughter in the pushchair. So that's the daughter that's traumatised, as much as I'm traumatised by Sussex police. That 3-year-old is traumatised for life because of what they did to his wife, the mother of, I don't know if they're married, wife, partner, girlfriend, the mother of his daughter. Because she said every time she sees a police car or anything, she's like, "Daddy, Daddy." Then what? And she clings to him. And I said, I mean, I had early childhood trauma at that age that I can't remember. But even if she doesn't remember it, it is going to affect her into the rest of her life. I'm 41. I'm traumatised by what these thugs have done over the past 7 years. I can relate to that 3-year-old. But anyway, so as I was saying, I just thought I'd throw that into the mix. I should have gone up to him and said, "Have you heard about what West Yorkshire police have done to this autistic girl?" So there's footage that Paul Joseph Watson has shown of this autistic girl in her own home, punching herself in the head. And the mother is saying, "Can you please stop this? Can you get out? You're causing her distress. Leave her alone. She's autistic." And she's screaming and crying because they've said they're going to arrest her because of one observation she made about this police officer's haircut. And then it cut to them dragging this autistic girl along the path. And she's got, not only does she have a mental health issue, she's got a physical disability. She's in agony. She's got a twisted spine. And these spineless thugs were dragging this poor girl along in pain, and the mother was filming it. I mean, I'm not going to attack or criticise the mother, but what have we come to where a mother won't... God. My grandmother lived through two world wars. My mother lived through 1 world war. I'm going to be going to the fort with my partner to show him the exhibits that my mother showed me as a child. My mother took me to the local museum and said, "Oh yes, I wore one of these gas masks. I wore this when I was a baby." And my mother often reminded me of how people died for our freedom. And these demented psychopaths, I tell you, I am going to go onto that street on my own, single-handedly, to speak out. I know why I'm here. I know my purpose. My mother shouted in church against the appraisal of a perverted Catholic headmaster whom the PTA wanted to get rid of. And she was the only one who did it. And the silent, as Penelope Keith said, I am the silent majority. And when the man at the council says, "Just who do you think you are, Mrs. Ledbetter?" And she says, "I am the silent majority." That's me and my mother. I tell you what, honour your parents. That's what scripture tells you to do, but do you bother? No, you just sit and watch my YouTube videos and you're just full of bitterness, aren't you? Because you won't get off your backside and do anything. I would go to the march in Canterbury in Kent that Nathan Kirkton has set up. But I need some spare pennies for that. But I'm going to try and claim that 250 quid that the scam people at the local government and social care ombudsman contacted Eastbourne Borough Council. They covered their tracks. They lied through their teeth. They did all of that. They offered me 250 quid, which I didn't take because they owe me thousands of pounds of back pay. But I could do with that money because, I would use some of that money to go on that march, because I've also been helping to fund my partner who's been forced into poverty because of all this nonsense. Oh, and the rent is going up. Nationally, the rent is going up, according to MSN. So I already owe people money for borrowing. Just to get into a safe place, just so that I wouldn't be attacked by actual criminals in my shared council accommodation, one of whom was mentioned in the national news as mugging the elderly with 22 previous convictions, and had been mentioned on MSN. Look them up. Dion Clark and mother and daughter Dion Clark and Sherelle Clark jailed for 5 years for mugging the elderly. You look them up, and they'd been doing the same thing 5 years earlier. They attacked me in my council accommodation, but the police kept arresting me because they really are worse. All of them. The MP, the councillors, the whole lot of them. They are worse than little children. But they are committing crimes against the people under common law. They failed to stop and correct a vulnerable constituent. This is what they get paid to do. And I will give a big shout out to the one lady who a few years ago, well, actually, it was around the time I was being attacked. And she knows Andy Devine. I know Andy Devine has upset a lot of people, and I won't talk about that. But this lady who's exposed her own council, and I won't say her name, but she got a stroke doing it. And do you know what? To get that one comment that said, "Hello, lovely lady," that was enough for me. That was enough. I mean, I would have carried on anyway, the way I have. I still don't know how my father died or anything like that. But I think I've had a comment on Facebook from someone who feels sorry for me. I don't know if you've seen what the police did to me, as a response to my father's death and the bruises and the beating, but it's on my Facebook wall, all the bruises. I came very close to suing the Herald for libel when they said that I injured the police during a welfare check, and yet I've taken so many pictures of bruises, beatings, bedbugs crawling on me, recordings of criminals attacking me, and this is our UK system, this is our council accommodation, so it's up to you guys, just because you've been brought up to be polite, you don't have to do this programming, you can break from it. You can break from the stoicism and the British stiff upper lip. Abba Yahweh can do anything. And this is what me and my partner were talking about, because we've both been brought up very middle class. My partner is like my mother. He was brought up in Surrey. Well, my mother was born in Surrey. My mother had a privileged upbringing during the war. But my partner went to a grammar school in Surrey. My eldest sister went to a grammar school in an affluent county, middle England, middle class. And then she came down here drinking in the pub, a town with a port, and found she wasn't alone in having divorced parents. So this is where the social engineering, this is where they don't like me, because I'm breaking that. Setup, shall we say. Because when my mum came back from New York, don't forget, she had a Brooklyn friend who was married to the mafia in New York. And my mother already had the resilience that I have to fight trauma that would otherwise break me. And this is the kind of stuff that Jeanette Archer has said that's really helped me and encouraged me, even if I'm not a victim of satanic ritual abuse. So I would encourage anyone else to just keep praying to Yahweh. Listen to Dr. William Snowblum, especially with his most recent videos. Bill William Snowblum and Jeanette Archer's encouragement. You know, because anyone who's a victim of any kind of trauma, it doesn't matter what it is. You've come this far. Don't give up. And for anyone who says, "Oh, I can't get over your mother's death," well, not only have I, you don't get over the death of someone who was your soulmate when you had attachment issues with them. And I found this article. Well, my partner found it. And this might help me, because I was 27 when I lost my mother. This woman was 26. But obviously I found out I'm a victim of early childhood trauma as well. So the attachment, because when my mother sold the house, that was a bereavement in itself. But this is the fear of losing my mother and the nightmares I had. You know, you might not have a breakdown till years after your mother's died, and that's what's happened with me. So I just thought I'd share that. I still need to find out what happened to my father. So, but Abba Yahweh, El Shaddai, praise Yahweh that I'm getting through this. And pray for that poor girl, and that poor girl that autistic girl who was assaulted and beaten by the police, and all the others. But we all need to it's just interesting, because Warrior Wales, I hope you don't mind me saying, I'm going to say your name anyway, but you said you saw them, you sent me the transcript, and where there's the police abusing powers community are saying, "I hope Bryony suicides." And you said 1 minute Dan was saying, "Oh, I hope she gets the help she needs," and the next minute he's joining in with them. That's typical narcissistic bullying, and that really just shows that they've got their own insecurities. It's more sad. I think it's sad for them, really, because I didn't realise it was a community. Perhaps the people in the police abusing powers community, many of them could be, for all I know, they could be convicted criminals themselves in these council accommodations. God, my worst nightmare. So the only thing that's protecting me from them is this screen, for the sake of sanity. But I thought, in all my naivety, same as Jeanette Archer, I thought that there would be normal people out there, just on the same wavelength, thinking, oh gosh, isn't that terrible? Oh, you poor thing. Mature adults, but we don't live in that sort of a society anymore. We don't live in a society of mature adults. I mean, the older generations are not what they used to be either. So we've just got to, me and my partner just pray all the time, and we just got to go into spiritual warfare and spiritual battle and just keep battling through this. Amen. So I will end this live stream, and Yahweh, Shalom, Shalom Yahweh.